Far beyond the well-traveled star routes, in a quiet and fragile part of the galaxy, the Zalari lived on their peaceful world. Their planet was small and covered with blue-green forests, gentle rivers, and soft skies. The Zalari were a gentle and thoughtful species known for their knowledge and love of science rather than war or conflict. But today that peace was shattered. Deep in the vastness of space, an ancient cosmic anomaly had appeared near their system, a swirling mass of dark energy that grew stronger every day. It moved like a creeping shadow, consuming light and matter alike, threatening to swallow the Zalari's world whole. The elders of the Zalari gathered in urgency, their faces full of worry. Their technology was advanced but delicate, unable to fight such a force. They knew they needed help, and fast. In desperation, the Zalari scientists sent out a distress signal. This SOS was filled with detailed warnings, coordinates, and a plea for immediate aid. They chose to send it toward their closest allies, group of peaceful traders who had promised help in times of need. But the vast space between stars is never kind to signals. Cosmic interference, caused by storms of charged particles and ancient radiation, twisted the transmission. Instead of reaching their trusted friends, the message was scrambled, distorted, and sent far off course. Far, far away, it caught the attention of a very different kind of listener. On a rough, wild planet known to few as Karak's homeworld, humans lived in a way that was harsh and demanding. This was a place where survival was the greatest test, where every day was a battle against the unforgiving environment, fierce storms, and dangerous wildlife. From this harsh world came the Karak fleet, a group of humans known throughout the galaxy for their toughness, grit, and unusual methods. They were called Deathworlders because they came from a world that tried to kill them, yet they thrived. Their ships were battle-scarred, their crews tough and ready for anything. Captain Mara, the leader of this fleet, was as strong and sharp as her people, fierce in battle, calm in crisis, and always ready to push limits. As the Karak fleet patrolled the edge of their known space, their communications officer picked up the strange SOS signal. The message was unlike anything they had seen before, a language unfamiliar, but clear in its urgency. The coordinates pointed to an unknown system far from Karak's territory. Captain Mara studied the transmission carefully, sensing that this was no routine distress call. Her instincts told her that the species behind this message might be fragile, maybe even helpless. But she also saw an opportunity. Responding to such a call would test her fleet's skills, show their strength beyond their death world, and maybe even gain allies in a galaxy where trust was rare. Against the cautious advice of some crew members who feared the unknown, Mara gave the order to set course for the mysterious world. As their ships jumped through the star lanes, the crew prepared for anything. They had faced pirates, wild beasts, and space storms, but this mission was different. The idea of rescuing a weak species was new. Many on the fleet whispered about what they might find. Was the SOS a trap? Or worse, a false alarm? Captain Mara remained silent, focused on the bigger picture. For her, this mission was about more than survival. It was about proving the Karak could be heroes too, not just warriors from a harsh planet. The journey took longer than expected. The signal was faint and scattered, which made navigation tricky. As the fleet neared the coordinates, scanners showed a peaceful-looking world, glowing softly in the void. But Mara's sharp eyes noticed something troubling, a dark swirl at the planet's edge, like smoke from a fire, but vast and terrible. The cosmic anomaly was there, larger than anyone could have imagined, wrapping the planet in its silent threat. The Karak fleet slowed, circling the planet as they sent out a signal of their own. This time, it was a simple message. Help was here. Moments later, strange shapes appeared on the view screens, delicate ships unlike anything the Karak had seen before, moving cautiously, but with hope. The Zalari had come out to meet their unexpected rescuers. Through careful communication, Mara learned more about the Zalari. They were scholars and scientists, peaceful beings who had never built weapons or fought wars. Their technology was beautiful but fragile, like glass that might shatter if handled roughly. The contrast between the Karak and the Zalari could not have been greater. One group was born in fire and stone, ready to face any danger with strength and strategy. The other was a species that valued knowledge, harmony, and survival through intellect. Both were strangers to each other, yet now fate had brought them together on the edge of disaster. Mara understood that this mission would test not just their strength, but their ability to trust and learn from one another. As night fell over, the strange planet, Captain Mara stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at the cosmic storm swirling beyond the atmosphere. The tension was thick. Every crew member felt it. This was more than a rescue. It was a chance to change the story of humanity among the stars, to show that even Deathworlders could bring hope to the helpless. Somewhere deep inside, Mara hoped that this mission would be the beginning of something greater, a new chapter where two very different species could fight together and survive. But the real challenge was just beginning. The cosmic anomaly was relentless, growing stronger with every hour. The Zilari technology was already stretched to its limits and time was running out. Captain Mara's mind raced with plans, strategies, and the unknown dangers ahead. She knew that responding to a mistaken SOS was only the first step. What came next would demand everything the Carrack had, and perhaps something more that no one expected. The Carrack fleet moved steadily through the shimmering atmosphere of the Zilari system, their massive ships casting long shadows over the world below, a planet that seemed at first glance to be a paradise, full of vibrant forests, crystal-clear lakes, and sprawling cities built with clean, elegant lines of silver and blue. Yet beneath the beauty lay a fragile core, one threatened by a dark force no machine could easily fight. As Captain Mara's ships settled into orbit, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The Zilari emerged slowly, their slender vessels approaching, cautiously, radiating a soft glow that contrasted sharply with the harsh angular design of the human fleet. The Zilari leaders and scientists boarded the human command ship, their faces a mixture of hope and hesitation. They welcomed the Carrack with cautious respect, but their eyes betrayed a deep uncertainty. They had never seen such rugged warriors before, people born on a death world where survival was a daily struggle. The Zilari spoke softly, explaining their desperate situation. The cosmic anomaly was no simple storm. It was a living, shifting rift in space and energy, growing stronger and moving closer to their planet's surface. Their finest technology, designed for peace and discovery, was no match for such raw, destructive power. They had tried everything to contain it, but their efforts only delayed the inevitable. Captain Mara listened carefully, her mind working, quickly to assess the situation. The human scanners confirmed what the Zilari had feared. The anomaly was a vast energy rift, pulsing with unpredictable surges, tearing at the fabric of the planet's stability. The Zilari's advanced machines flickered and strained, failing to hold back the growing threat. Mara knew then that this was more than a rescue. It was a battle for survival unlike any they had faced before. The Zilari scientists, though brilliant, had no experience with the kind of raw, unfiltered danger that the Carrack faced daily on their harsh homeworld. Mara spoke frankly about her people's strength and adaptability, explaining how the Carrack had learned to thrive where others could not, using every tool, every instinct to survive environments that were brutal and unforgiving. She offered a plan: the immediate evacuation of Zilari civilians from the most dangerous zones, using Carrack ships designed for rapid, tough landings and quick takeoffs in hostile conditions. At the same time, the Carrack would deploy their unique technology, machines built to withstand extremes, to hold back and slow natural threats long enough for people to escape. The Zilari watched in awe and some disbelief as the humans began preparing their equipment, devices strange and unfamiliar but clearly made for one purpose: to fight the impossible. Though suspicion lingered, could these warlike humans really be their saviors? Could the Carrack's brutal methods work on a world so delicate and different? There was no time to waste on doubt. The two species started working side by side, exchanging knowledge and adapting plans. The Zilari taught the humans about their technology and the nature of the anomaly, while the Carrack shared their hard-won survival skills and tactical experience. Slowly, Trust began to form between them, fragile as glass but growing stronger with every shared victory. Yet beneath this cooperation, a quiet tension simmered. The Zalari worried about what might happen if the humans' rough ways damaged their world further, while the Karak questioned whether their efforts would be enough against a threat so vast and mysterious. As the anomaly pulsed ominously in the sky, each day brought new dangers, sudden energy surges that shook the planet, strange storms that distorted reality, and unexplained failures in the Zalari's machines. The Karak crews worked without rest, their endurance and toughness tested like never before. Captain Mara's leadership shone as she balanced the urgency of the mission with the need to respect the fragile planet and its people. She pushed her fleet to act swiftly but carefully, knowing that every decision could mean the difference between salvation and disaster. And in quiet moments, when the crews rested beneath the alien stars, the humans and Zalari exchanged stories about hardship, hope, and the will to survive. These moments, small and simple, built a bridge between two worlds. But the cosmic anomaly was relentless. It crept closer with every passing hour, growing in power and hunger. The delicate balance that held the Zalari's world together was breaking. Captain Mara knew they had to act fast yet wisely. The plan was set: evacuate those at greatest risk first, then use the Karak technology to hold back the anomaly's advance while a larger solution was found. It was a race against time and an enemy that seemed unstoppable. The Karak were ready to prove that even those born in the harshest places could bring hope and strength to the most fragile corners of the galaxy. The Zalari, in turn, hoped that the humans' brutal skills might be the key to survival, even if it meant learning to fight in ways they never imagined. Together, two very different species faced an impossible challenge, their future hanging in the balance as the dark rift pulsed and roared, a reminder that sometimes survival means not only fighting the enemy but overcoming fear and mistrust between strangers. As the cosmic anomaly crept closer to the Zalari world, the pressure on both the human Karak fleet and the fragile alien civilization intensified. Captain Mara knew the battle ahead would demand more than technology or weapons. It required endurance, spirit, and unbreakable will. The Zalari, accustomed to a life of peaceful study and calm, found themselves overwhelmed by the humans' relentless pace and unfamiliar methods. The Karak did not hesitate. Their days were filled with harsh drills designed to build stamina and quick thinking. Their nights spent planning improvised defenses that could change with the slightest shift in the anomaly's behavior. To the Zalari, this new way of fighting felt alien, rough, unforgiving, and unlike anything they had ever done. Yet they saw it was effective. Captain Mara pushed both her crew and the Zalari volunteers hard, believing that to face such a threat they could not afford weakness or hesitation. She taught them to embrace discomfort, to adapt quickly, and to meet danger head-on without fear or surrender. Under her guidance, the Zalari learned to move faster, to think like hunters rather than scholars, and to accept that survival sometimes meant risking everything. At first, the Zalari stumbled, unsure how to move or fight with such urgency. But slowly, determination replaced doubt. The humans' gritty example ignited a new fire within them, inspiring them to discover strengths they never knew they had. The Karak, in turn, began to see the world through Zalari eyes. They noticed the deep connection the Zalari held with their environment, the beauty in their delicate technologies, and the power in their calm wisdom. In quiet moments away from the chaos, soldiers from both sides shared stories, blending human toughness with Zalari insight. This blending of cultures became a new force, one built not just on muscle or intellect, but on understanding. The battles against the anomaly's smaller energy bursts became tests of this new alliance. The Karak deployed their survival machines and traps, designed to slow the anomaly's advance, while the Zalari scientists adjusted their energy fields and shields, in real time using data provided by human scouts. Each small victory raised spirits, proving that together they could hold the dark force at bay, even if only for a little longer. Captain Mara watched these moments with cautious hope, knowing that the real challenge was still ahead, a final confrontation that might decide the fate of the entire planet. She spent long hours working with Zalari engineers, refining plans that combined human brute strength and tactical cunning with alien precision and knowledge. The tension was high. Every day brought new surprises and dangers as the anomaly shifted, unpredictably, sending out bursts of energy that rattled the world's core and threatened to tear it apart. The combined forces trained tirelessly, readying for the moment when they would have to face the anomaly directly. Amid the growing fear and urgency, something remarkable happened. The humans and Zalari began to trust one another deeply. The Carrick admired the Zalari's calm in the face of disaster, their refusal to give up hope and their clever use of science even in crisis. The Zalari, once wary of the humans' harsh methods, now respected their courage, their refusal to back down, and the strength born of surviving a deadly world. This mutual respect created a bond that no enemy could easily break. The planet itself seemed to respond to this unity. As the teams worked together, energy bursts that once threatened to destroy entire regions became smaller, more manageable, as if the combined will of two species could push back the darkness. Captain Mara knew this was more than luck. It was the power of determination, cooperation, and the refusal to accept defeat. Yet beneath the hope, the threat remained relentless. The anomaly continued to pulse and grow, a reminder that time was running out. The humans and Zalari prepared for the final stand, training their minds and bodies for a fight that would demand everything they had. Captain Mara stood on the bridge of her ship one night, looking at the dark rift swirling in the planet's sky. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, the mistaken SOS, the unexpected alliance, the hard lessons learned through sweat and struggle. She knew that whatever happened next, this moment marked a new beginning for both species. The Carrick were no longer just Deathworlders, they were saviors and allies in a vast and dangerous universe. And the Zalari had shown that even the most peaceful could learn to fight when survival demanded it. The final confrontation was near, and the future of the Zalari world, and perhaps more, depended on how well they could face it together. Just when it seemed the cosmic anomaly would finally tear through the very core of the Zalari planet, spreading destruction that no shield or defense could stop, a sudden discovery shifted the fate of the desperate alliance. Deep beneath the surface, hidden in the oldest ruins of the Zalari's ancestors, the Carrick's exploration team uncovered an ancient relic, a massive energy amplifier that pulsed faintly with dormant power. This device, covered in strange symbols and etched with intricate lines, was unlike anything either species had ever seen. The Zalari scientists quickly recognized it as a long-lost technology, something once used to stabilize great forces in their planet's history, but now forgotten through ages of peace and neglect. Captain Mara immediately realized the significance. If they could power this relic correctly, it might be able to hold back or even close the rift created by the anomaly. But there was a catch. This was not a simple machine that could be switched on. It required precise coordination, a deep understanding of the Zalari's advanced energy manipulation, and a continuous power source strong enough to fuel its immense potential. Even more challenging was the fact that activating the relic involved risks they had never faced before. A misstep could worsen the rift or drain the planet's remaining energy, accelerating destruction instead of stopping it. Despite these dangers, the hope this ancient device offered was too great to ignore. Captain Mara gathered a team made up of the bravest Carrick warriors and the most skilled Zalari scientists, creating a group as unusual as it was determined. This mixed team quickly became a symbol of the fragile trust between the two species. Humans, known for their courage and toughness, and Zalari celebrated for their knowledge and precision. Together, they planned a daring mission to descend beneath the surface into the labyrinth of tunnels and chambers where the relic lay hidden. Time was against them. The anomaly was growing more aggressive, sending violent energy surges that shook the planet, threatening to collapse the very ground beneath their feet. Every step closer to the relic brought new dangers, unstable passages, shifting energies, and unpredictable blasts that tested their resolve. The team faced doubts that whispered in quiet moments. Could they really succeed? Was the relic their salvation or a trap laid by a forgotten past? But with each setback came acts of courage. when a sudden energy wave threatened to trap them. Deep underground, the humans held the line with unyielding strength, allowing the Zalari to focus on recalibrating the relic's ancient controls. When the relic's power momentarily surged out of control, threatening to overwhelm them, a Zalari engineer risked everything to manually stabilize the energy flow, showing a selflessness that moved the entire team. These moments, born of fear and hope, forged bonds stronger than technology or weapons. Captain Mara led with calm determination, inspiring trust and confidence when chaos surrounded them. The Zalari, once hesitant about the humans' harsh ways, now relied on their unbreakable will and quick thinking. And the humans, who had lived by survival of the toughest, found new respect for the patience and subtle genius of their alien allies. As the team worked tirelessly to activate the relic, combining human grit with Zalari precision, they saw small signs of success. The rift's edges began to glow less violently, the energy pulses slowed. But the process was far from complete, and the cost was high. Some crew members fell ill from energy feedback, others faced exhaustion as they worked without pause. Yet, they did not give up. The final moments were the most dangerous. The relic demanded a steady, powerful flow of energy from the planet's core, and balancing this while keeping the rift stable was like walking a razor's edge. One wrong move could unleash destruction across the entire system. In these tense hours, the team's unity was tested more than ever. Arguments flared, doubts returned, and fear crept into their minds. But Captain Mara's steady leadership and the shared goal kept them together. When a massive surge threatened to overwhelm the relic's systems, a human engineer sacrificed her own safety to manually reroute the power, buying just enough time for the Zalari scientists to complete the final sequence. At last, the relic roared to life, its energy flowing outwards in waves that pulsed through the planet's surface, pushing back the dark rift as if it were a living force that could be held at bay. The cosmic anomaly faltered, shrinking and retreating under the combined strength of the ancient technology and the living courage of two very different species. Relief and joy swept through the team, but they knew the battle was not yet over. This victory was a turning point, a moment, proving that trust, sacrifice, and unity could triumph over even the darkest threats. As Captain Mara looked around at the exhausted but hopeful faces of her crew and their Zalari allies, she understood that this fight had changed them all forever. They had found a new strength in their shared purpose, showing that survival was more than just enduring harsh worlds. It was about building bridges between strangers, about courage in the face of impossible odds. The story of two very different peoples, once strangers in the galaxy, had become a tale of hope and partnership written in the heart of danger. Now, as the rift began to close, they could look forward to a future where the lessons learned beneath the ground might help them face any challenge together, no matter what the stars held next. With the ancient relic fully activated, a powerful wave of energy spread across the Zalari planet, its gentle but firm pulse weaving through the very fabric of the cosmic anomaly's rift. Slowly, the raging darkness that had threatened to swallow their world began to shrink, the violent surges calming as if held back by an invisible hand. For the first time in many moons, the skies cleared, and the trembling earth settled into a peaceful rhythm. The Zalari people, once fearful and fragile in the face of this overwhelming threat, now found themselves united in awe and gratitude. Their once cautious hope blossomed into celebration, not only for their survival but for the heroes who had come from a world so different from their own. The Karak, the Deathworlders, warriors born of hardship and resilience, were honored with deep respect and admiration. Despite their rough appearances and fierce methods, they had brought life back to a planet on the brink of destruction. Captain Mara stood among her crew, watching the Zalari leaders present gifts and tokens of thanks, simple symbols carrying the weight of a culture grateful beyond words. But Mara's thoughts were not on celebration alone. She reflected on the journey, the mistaken distress call that had drawn them here, the long days of training and fighting side by side, the moments of doubt, courage, and unity that had forged a bond between two very different species. This mission had been more than a rescue. It was a turning point, a demonstration that strength and willpower could bridge the vast distances not only between stars, but between hearts and minds. The Karak, known across the galaxy as survivors of a brutal death world, were now remembered as allies and saviors. Their reputation shifted from fearsome fighters to be feared to respected warriors who could inspire hope even in the darkest times. As the fleet prepared to leave the Zalari system, there was a quiet but profound change in the air. The Zalari sent out a new message, no longer a call for help, but an invitation. They sought friendship, alliance, and cooperation with the humans, hoping to learn from their toughness while sharing their own wisdom and peace. The galaxy, it seemed, was watching this unusual partnership unfold, recognizing that sometimes the universe's most unlikely heroes are those who answer a call by mistake, but stay to fight with all their might. Captain Mara gazed at the stars, beyond, knowing that this was only the beginning. The legacy of the Deathworlders would travel far and wide, not just as a story of survival, but as a beacon of unity and strength. Humanity's place in the cosmos had changed, no longer just fierce warriors, but also trusted partners who could stand firm against threats that no one species could face alone. And in the quiet hum of their ships, the Karak fleet moved onward, stronger, wiser, and forever linked to the Ao, Zalari by the bonds of battle and friendship, ready to face whatever mysteries the universe would throw at them next.